All right, welcome back to finishing up the end of the round. Uh, been pretty good draft so far. Pretty excited to see some of these new players get going in the league. So we'll complete this round today, third round, and then we're going to take a day off tomorrow. And then for fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh rounds, we'll be doing daily sims. So be prepared for Tuesday to sim round 4, and then we'll be simming every round. So rather than just half a round going forward, we'll be doing the entire round. I won't be streaming them. We'll just be doing them as regular sims daily. So anyway, without further ado, let's get going on pick number 17 of the third round. That's the Browns. Let's see who they end up with their third round pick here. So we've got James Emmons, cornerback out of Oregon, and he looks pretty good. As has, tons of corners in this draft. It's been one of the more corner-heavy drafts I've seen, that's for sure. So lots of decent players, pretty deep at that position. So pretty good pickup out of Oregon. James Emmons, I believe that's the second or third player from Oregon taken in this draft. So pretty good. James Emmons, that brings us on to the Packers. Let's see who they take with their third round pick. So we got Carlos Ridgway out of Connecticut, out of UConn. So this is actually a player that I was really intrigued by. He was showing as a defensive end, but I saw that he had a lot of speed. So this is a player that probably isn't going to play defensive end in this league, but it appears he has better training at linebacker anyway. But he's got nice speed and tackling. I mean, that's first round speed and tackling for a linebacker. He will be undersized for the linebacker position, but he's even got enough speed, especially if he develops it a little bit. He could play a little strong safety too. So I was really intrigued by this player. He was a guy that I was kind of thinking might go a little bit earlier in the draft, but solid, versatile player with training at a couple positions. He's definitely not going to play defensive end in the league, I'd expect, but I've been surprised before. And I like that pick, even if he is able to play some D end in some kind of, like speed rusher kind of situation. That might work out. He's got a little bit of training there, but I expect he's going to be moved over to linebacker. So that puts us at Denver. And Denver takes Chris Talley, defensive tackle out of TCU. So speed's a little bit under. Love his agility and strength, though. And his endurance is okay for the position. He'll just need to learn how to play the position, get a little bit more endurance. But his speed's always going to be a little bit under. But at 318 pounds with 86 strength, that's going to be a guy that just clogs the whole entire middle. So nobody's going to be running up the middle against Denver. He'll consume two blockers for sure, especially as he develops. So not a bad pick for Denver in the third round. Chris Talley out of TCU. Big boy, 318 pounds. So that moves us on to the Texans. And the Texans, so he might be the best defensive tackle in the draft, taken in the third round. So Adam O out of Western Michigan. So he was a guy that I recruited when I was controlling Western Michigan. So nice to see that he came through pretty well. He was definitely a really good player in college. Really held down that line at Western Michigan on an annual playoff team. So his speed's okay. His agility might be a little bit under, but speed and tackling is good, and he's got good strength. And at 322 pounds, I mean, this is a guy that I expect to be, kind of a mainstay starting defensive tackle through the years by the looks of his ratings and the fact that he's got the intangibles to develop pretty well. And he doesn't need a whole ton of development. He really just needs to build on his position skills. So that's going to be a solid pickup for the Texans at defensive tackle. I expect O is going to be in this league a decent amount of time, just based on looking at his ratings here. So that'll move us on to the Vikings. And the Vikings got Orlando Wynn, linebacker out of Louisville. His speed is a touch under, so he's probably a touch under everywhere, but he's a guy that really you could just throw like pretty even training. He's a guy I would definitely throw like 6, 6, 6, and then 4 in game tape, just to see where he starts growing. I would definitely put him there and see if he starts building in different positions, and then or different attributes, and kind of see where I'd play him from there. Linebacker, he's 210 pounds, so maybe a little bit undersized for linebacker, but we'll see how the Vikings utilize him. On to the Jets, and I know they've been searching for a cornerback. They did just make a trade, sending Josh Freeman to the Vikings in exchange for some corner help. So let's see if they are able to find another corner here at number 22. Let's see who they go with here. So we got Keith. So this is Richard Keith, cornerback out of Arkansas. He's got good speed. His agility's under, but he's really got awesome intangibles. That work ethic and competitiveness are really going to make a difference at the position. And if he can push that agility up above, 70, 75, somewhere in that range, he could be pretty good. Even though his strength is under and he's not a very good tackler, he could be a decent cover corner right now, especially if he builds a little bit of that agility. So Richard Keith, cornerback, we'll see how he develops for the Jets. And then that moves us on to the Bills. The Bills, let's see, they take with their 23rd pick of the 3rd round, they take Gabriel Cottle out of Louisville. And, wow, that's an impressive corner. That guy looks like he should be first-round material. That agility's awesome, 87, 84 speed, and both of those spots will develop. I got to imagine the Bills are really stoked on this pick. That's a really good pick, I'd say, at this juncture in the draft, especially with all the corners that have gone. This guy looks like he could possibly be one of the best corners in this corner-heavy draft. So I'm pretty impressed with this pick. It's definitely a good one, and honestly, I'm surprised this guy fell this low with that great agility and pro-level speed. So we'll see how he works out for the Bills, but I expect he's going to be holding down one of their corner spots for a number of seasons to come. So moving on to my team, let's see what the AI wants to do for me with my 3rd round pick. So we got Kyle Mcgee, defensive tackle out of Arkansas. Pretty good player, I'd say. I like that pickup. It's definitely solid. Apologize about the noise in the background, people yelling. Let's see. So we got, good strength. Speed's a little bit under, agility, but good enough endurance to develop. Not in love with the intangibles, but, this guy looks like he's a player that could develop, even though he is undersized at 276 pounds. He's still got really good strength, so that could bode well, pretty well for him, even though he is undersized. But I expect he might make the roster this year and get a little bit of playing time with that strength. But we're pretty deep at defensive tackle, so we'll have to see. So that moves us on to the Rams, and they take Scott Rowland, free safety out of Vanderbilt. And this guy's speed is under, he's 217 pounds. So we've seen a couple linebackers come in about this size. And his skills are probably, honestly, a little more suited to play linebacker than a DB position. His agility is just too far under. His strength would be okay at the linebacker position, even though he's going to be undersized if he plays linebacker. But I don't expect him to stay at free safety unless he really booms in that agility and speed in camp. But I don't expect with, starting at 57 agility, I don't expect that he's ever really going to grow too high. So I would probably consider moving this guy to linebacker, and just have him be an undersized, fast linebacker type position, especially playing in like a 3-3-5, playing in a nickel formation, playing in coverage. This guy should be pretty good, especially with those 61 hands. So we'll see how the Rams use him. That takes us on to the Vikings again. Let's see who they take with pick number 26 of the third round. And they're taking David Mason, wide receiver out of Navy. His hands are decent enough. He's going to be under on speed and agility, but that stuff might develop. He knows how to play the position, but this is a guy that really is just plugging some depth, and maybe he'll get a little bit of development. He's got the right size, but his endurance is under, so he's really going to have to work on speed, agility, endurance. Even though he is wide receiver, so endurance might be the least of the concerns there, but he's got to get up around 80 speed, 80 agility before I'd really consider him, a pro prospect. So we'll see how he develops. Maybe he booms a little bit in camp, and we'll see how the Vikings use him. And that takes us on to the Bengals. And the Bengals select Keith Donato out of Texas. And, man, Texas has had a draft. I got to say, another wide receiver, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's going to develop. He's got really great hands, but that speed and agility is just too far under for me to ever really think he's going to develop into anything, especially because his intangibles aren't very good. But we'll see. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I've been surprised before. So we'll see how, maybe this guy booms in camp and gets some agility and speed. But as of now, he's way under as a pro prospect for both of those spots. And you're going to need speed and agility for a wide receiver. So even though he's got those good hands, he can't utilize them if he can't get coverage off of him. So anyway, we'll move on to the Colts. See who they take at number 28. So they're going with Cook, Ulysses Cook out of Memphis. Defensive tackle, really like that strength. He's going to be under on his speed, but not too far. Just a little bit below average and about average on agility, but his strength's really good. His tackling's good. Endurance is in a good space, and his intangibles are good. So this is a guy I expect could develop over the next couple seasons and end up getting some playing time and find himself in the rotation over there in Indies. But we'll see how the Colts utilize him. So that takes us to the Jaguars, who have been kind of the surprise AI team of the league. They've annually been winning lots of games, beating good GMs. Like, they're a crazy team, and they've had a pretty decent draft. So let's see who they take with pick number 29 of the third round. So they're going with Christopher Tejada, another defensive tackle. So we're going heavy on the defensive tackles as we get into the third round here. Another one that strength is good enough in developable territory. Speed is average. Agility is a little under average. He'll want to work on that endurance as well. But overall, not a bad player. Project, 22 years old. He's a little bit undersized, and that's the only real concern with him, other than, he'll want to push that strength up a bit. And then that takes us to Lions. We'll see who they take at number 30. So they take Leon Glazer, defensive end out of Northwestern, and he's going to be under on his strength, so he'll want to push that up, but like that speed for the defensive end position. He's 244 pounds, so about average on size, but you'd probably want a guy about 250, 260 playing D-end. But with that speed, he could utilize it, especially if he's able to build some of that strength up a little bit, but we'll see how the Lions use him. And that'll take us to the Dolphins at number 31 of the third round, so defending AFC championship, or defending AFC champions. Let's see who they end up with. So they got Robert Staton out of Appalachian State, and he's a guard. And he's another guy, he's under on strength, below average on passing and run blocking. So he's definitely a project. 22 years old. He's 310 pounds, so he's not undersized, but he's really got to push on that strength, to be an every down player in this league. And we'll finish it off with the Cowboys here, and that'll kind of conclude our streamed rounds of the draft. So really appreciate everyone that's tuned in. It's been a lot of fun. Apologize about a few of my snafus that I've had, but we'll get them ironed out as we keep going forward with this league. And so we'll see what Cowboys end up with to finish her off. So they go with Tony Borden out of Auburn, and maybe the corners are starting to dry up. He's definitely under on speed. I like his agility. His tackling skill is really good, but he's only 182 pounds, so he really doesn't have the size to move anywhere else. But he's going to be under as a corner, even though I like all of his other skills. Like his agility's great, his tackling's great, his hands are good enough. He's got the endurance. He knows how to play two positions, albeit not extremely well, but he knows how to play two positions, which could bode well. But with that 70 speed, I mean, he's got to push that up to around 80. So we'll see if he develops, if he starts pushing some speed up in training camp and over the season. He could be useful because he's good in just about every other area he needs to be. So, anyway, thanks for tuning into the stream. It's been a fun draft, and look forward to keep advancing forward and getting into this season. So, we'll see you out there, and thanks again for tuning in.